Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to the Scream Scene. I'm your host, Jody Dean. I got my co-host with me, Christa. Krista, what's going on?
Just happy to be back home from Texas. I got home last night, like 7 p.m., and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, did you have a lot of fun?
I did. I got to go to South Padre Island and check it out. I've never been there. It was amazing. Aside from the oil, the beaches were covered with oil, and I got it all over my body and couldn't get it off.
That's some real life horror shit. You were covered in oil, and we're not talking about baby oil. We're not talking about uh suntan oil. We're talking about oil, right?
Oil from the ocean. They do a lot of drilling out there. So
Mm.
apparently, in um, what is that island out there?
I know what you're talking about. I am
Galveston.
horrible with names though.
Okay, so it's Galveston. So apparently there was an oil spill in Galveston a while back. And the hotel didn't seem to mention to anybody, watch out for oil on the beach. You don't want to step in it because it rolls up into balls onto the shore. And they clean it every morning, supposedly. But I went out at night with my sister and I stepped all up in it and had no idea and crossed my legs on the beach and I had it all up my legs. But it's oil for like that comes out of the ground. The really thick, sludgy,
Yeah.
the stuff that they need Dawn to wash the ducks for in the commercials.
That is sad, man. That is really sad, and that's horrible to hear that that was one of the experiences you had there on a vacation.
Right.
Um, but that said, some things have happened since you and I last talked. You did your vacation, I did my vacation. We always, we always come back to home base here. We opened up pre-orders for my second movie, Mallet 2, The Nightmare Continues, which you were in. And that is what I wanted to talk to you about tonight. Pre-orders are booming. It makes me very happy that I'm making something that people are going to see. It's the biggest problem I see with filmmakers out there and people I talk to is that's one of their worries. Did I just spend a year of my life making something that no one's going to see? Can you imagine how that would feel?
Terrible. You put your heart and soul into it, and then you have no guarantees, no marketing, just word of mouth and your channels.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's just it. And I've seen it over and over where a lot of these filmmakers, they do spend a lot of money, a lot of time making something, and it just completely tanks. There's no DVD sales, they didn't get a chance to be seen in movie theaters for a limited amount of time. And it's probably discouraging to put your heart and soul in something and then people not see it. So we are very blessed. A lot of people, we're over 1,200 pre-orders since June 1st. I think it's a little shy of what we did for the first film last year. However, the first 48 hours broke the record of what the first film did last year. So that was kind of cool, to see a little progression.
That's incredible. And this is all just word of mouth and people that follow you and know you. So just imagine if you had a little bit, a little bit more marketing that you did for yourself, how much more it would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm doing these on skin and bones. 10,000 a picture, there's not a lot of meat left on the bone. Now, don't get me wrong. Like if I really believe in something, I'll put some more money with it. However, I like to see what I can do with 10 grand. And looking at Mallet too, it's freaking, the finished product is so amazing. I'm super, super proud of this. I was super proud of the first film, but this film just is nonstop incredible, start to finish. In my opinion, it's what I look for as a horror person. Now, as an actress, and we're gonna dive deep into this because this was your first time acting in a movie, and I'm so thankful it was my movie that I wrote and directed. Um, but you got to see some of this movie before anybody else. Like, what did you think when you were looking at it come together?
Honestly, it was an incredible experience. It was not what I anticipated it to be like, though. I thought it was going to be extremely high pressure, intense, and I didn't even realize you would be editing and putting the movie together after the end of the day. So watching your kids do their scenes and how you shot this everything and how you directed them and how you did the special effects and then seeing it on like you editing it at the end of the night, it was completely night and day. It's like, oh, this looks like, cool, but then you see it with the sound that you put over it and seeing it come together like that. Holy crap.
Yeah. Well, that makes me so happy. And there's not a lot of people that would ever get that opportunity in any film situation. But so the way this happened was when the first movie came out, it was doing really good. I remember Christa had pre-ordered a movie, and I was telling people that pre-ordered, I'm like, hey, hold up the movie, take a picture with it, and I'll share you on the Mallet page. And only a fraction of people that bought the movie actually did it, but Christa was one of those people. So I that was like my first introduction to her, was seeing her hold up this movie, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. But then something special happened, and I say it's special because it kind of linked us together to where moving forward, like there was actually a real friendship, and now we've done some really cool stuff together and doing some really cool stuff. But I had posted, I've always seen like on eBay and in auctions, like people will take screen use stuff from their movies or friends' movies, and they'll make it available to where somebody can actually own that piece of cinematic history right there, right? Movie history. And I took one of the mallets used in the first movie. We actually used it a lot. And I was like, hey, first come, first serve. Anybody wants this, it's going to be signed. You jumped all over that like flies on shit. You were so fast. She was right there in the comments, right there in the DM, and payment accepted immediately. But when I was like, wow, that's really cool that this chick wants to own this. And then you got it. I seen how happy you were. You held that up and took a picture with that. You were proud of it. You sent me a picture around Christmas time. It was an ornament on your tree. I
Right.
was like, dude, she really appreciates this. And
It is right here on my crystal shelf at the end of my bed. You want to see it? I'll grab it.
yeah, grab it. Let's show it on here. Oh my God, this is gonna be so cool, guys. Honestly, this is how this friendship and everything started right here.
So,
Wow. Yep. Signed by Jace, who plays Tyler, signed by Anthony, who plays Mallet, and
yeah.
signed by me, the writer director.
I don't know if they can see it if I'm not talking, but there you go. Look how shiny, like it looks like real dried blood. Like, look at how
Yeah,
cool this is.
it is really, really, really cool. And I'm so happy that you got it. When I first was putting that up, um, I was like, man, I hope somebody doesn't get this that is just going to turn around and try and sell it on eBay down the road, or which, I mean, that would be their right? But I wanted somebody that was like really appreciated. And hey, if you could, if you could get a freaking grand for it and you pay 200 and what do you remember what it cost?
200. I spent
200.
200. Yeah.
Okay, you spent 200 on it. So I mean, yeah, if you could turn around and sell it for a grand down the road, like yeah, that makes sense. But I wanted somebody that would get it, that would appreciate it. And you had nothing but great things to say about the first movie. And when I seen your appreciation for something that I created, and I talked to you a little bit, I said, I'm doing part two. How would you feel about being in it? And you seemed really stoked. You were like, you seemed like you didn't believe me. Let's go back to that moment real quick. What was that like?
I didn't believe you. I actually still have that conversation in Instagram. And I actually scrolled back and read it like a month or so ago. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, that progressed really quickly. You said maybe I could put you in the movie. And I'm like, hell yeah. And you said, okay, I'll make sure to find something for you. And then a month later, you said I had two parts I want to talk to you about. So let's jump on a call. And we did, and didn't realize it was going to be what it was. But you found me a part.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing. So when we here's one thing about me. I think just in general, a lot of people do say a lot of things and they have no intention whatsoever on following it up or being about what they say that they're about. I'm just not one of those people. No matter who you are, girl, guy, how like I don't care what your position is, who you are. If I say some shit, you can take it to the bank. If it doesn't happen, it's because something wasn't right along the way, right? But when I said this to you and I seen you were stoked, I immediately put your name on this list. And what that meant to me was we got somebody here that I believe can follow simple direction. She seems like a nice young lady. I believe that I had only seen like your avatar thumbnail picture at the time. So I was like, hey, send me a couple shots. You did.
Mhm.
And then I was looking at you, looking at the script, and I'm like, well, a lot of parts that have speaking involved are ate up. And at that point, I'm thinking to myself, she's coming from Colorado. I'm giving her a speaking part, but unfortunately, the only part that's available for a girl that has a decent amount of dialogue was for a prostitute in the film that we refer to as Trailer Park Tina. When I first approached you about that part, did you think I was just like every other scumbag producer out there, or did you notice my gentlemanly approach about it, or how did that make you feel?
Well, first you explained to me it was a not traditional interview process because I wasn't there with you in person. We couldn't meet and talk about the role together. So sending pics you a few screenshots was a little intimidating to me, because I haven't really had much of a relationship with you at all. So I
Right.
was like, I'm like, is Alicia cool with me sending you, some pictures on here? Because I just be respectful as a lady as well. But you were extremely professional. There was no like inclination at all that you were a dirtbag piglet. So I
Thank you
felt
very much. And definitely not. And I remember Alicia was right by me, and I was like, look, just so you know, the part I'm offering to her, she's gonna have to, show a little bit of skin. And, like I have a certain vision in mind. So I had to know. And a lot of people are in that position. Of course, a lot of times they have a casting director. I don't. I do my own casting. I do everything. As you've done an amazing write-up that's going to be coming out soon, that you're going to actually be showing on your page. And you talk about all these things that I do. But in that moment there, we connected. It was very professional. And I quickly was like, this girl, based on your energy, I felt like you were gonna do a good job. Did you feel like that?
did I feel like I was gonna do a good job? Oh, I
Yeah.
was so intimidated. I have never in my life done anything like this. I thought I was gonna mess all my lines up. I have a tendency to be very monotone when I speak, so I was a little worried about that being an issue. Um, there was a lot of doubts that I had, to be honest. But
And see, I think you did such a good job that if this film gets the attention that I believe it deserves, I believe that you're kind of like you'll be looked at as like one of those excuse me, like those cult following characters. Like you'll be a very noticed individual that people like. I could see somebody totally cosplaying Trailer Park Tina and walking around saying some of her lines. Now, you guys might not know this until you see the film, but she did amazing. We put a wig on you. We put these big heavy eyelashes on you. Did your makeup, put you in the whole hooker get up attire, and you completely changed out of Christa into Trailer Park Tina. And it's a very powerful role.
I honestly, having that wig made me feel a little bit more comfortable because I felt like my identity was going to be hidden because I struggled a little bit with doing the part and having family members see it or my friends see it. And I made the decision, I'm going to do this. I want to do it. I believe in your vision. I loved the character. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it and I'm going to be proud of it. That's one of the reasons why it took me so long to share on my personal page that I did this
Yeah.
because I was struggling with how Like, I'm friends with my grandma on Facebook. How is she going to feel when she sees me in a role like this? Not everybody understands horror and loves it the way that we do. So, you know, there can be a lot of judgment behind that. And I just made the decision. I don't care. I'm going to be proud of it. And I'm excited about the way that it came together.
Good. Yeah, yeah, and that makes me very happy. And also, like, and I mean this with all my heart. This isn't for us being in a recorded, session here. Um, there is nobody I feel I could have casted that could have even held a candle to the way you held this part down and the way that the finished product came out. It was just perfect. And a lot of people don't know, um, or maybe they just don't think about it. They're not involved in horror or the film world as much as we are. But we're trying to make B movies, but we're trying to make them A plus good. And this is a B movie that is so ahead of so many B movies I see out there. Like when I watch this, I'm like, dude, our quality's killing this person over here. And I'm not trying to like compare to make myself feel better, but like I'll watch an indie film that I like, and then I'll be like, man, our quality was a lot better than this film. And I'm seeing that they had $1 million behind this film. Um, our actors were incredible, and these actors are SAG actors, and like our actors were better than these people that are union actors. Um, there's just so much that I'm constantly, when I watch the film, I'm just like, damn, like we really have something special. And again, it would be sad to be in a pocket to know that something incredible we created would not get seen. But luckily, due to YouTube, due to my bigger channel, Hunting the Dead, due to establishing a fan base with the first movie, like people have been waiting for this. I mean, it's not like we're selling hundreds of thousands of copies or anything, but still, like it has a mini cult following.
And the people that saw your original versus this one, how much your scenes have grown, how much the special effects have grown. Like you went for it. You showed the things that you didn't show in the first one and in detail. Like instead of like just showing the aftermath, you're showing it happening, in some of these cases. It's not like here's a hit against the side of your head. You're going to see the blood splatter everywhere. It's like incredible the way that the special effects came together.
Yeah, no, I agree, and thank you for saying that. I remember seeing your face many times when I would be doing. Here was the really cool thing about Christa. So let's step back for a second here, guys, because a lot of people aren't going to get this. There's not a behind the scenes on the DVD. On this one, we didn't do a behind the scenes. But I will say this, like, so we kept in touch from the time you were casted for the part until you flew in. You flew in from Colorado. We picked you up at the airport. You stayed with us for like 5 or 6 days at the area we had locked down to film a big portion of the movie. And the first day you showed up, you came from the airport back to the cabin. Um, I don't think you had a lot of breathing time.
Nope.
And next thing you know, we jumped into shooting your scenes. And if you remember correctly, we shot probably more than half the movie in one day. The reason that happened is because everybody came ready to work. They knew their shit. They listened to direction. There were scenes that we nailed on the first take. And if we shot them for a second take, it was just so, hey, like we got options. But I wasn't trying to run and gun necessarily, but that's what it feels like when I look back at it and I think about it. Like we nailed out like probably 40 minutes of the movie in one day. That is incredible.
It was incredible, and it happened just the way you said. You guys picked me up from the airport. There wasn't even an hour, and I was already dressed, and we were waiting for John to show up, right? I believe we
Right.
were waiting around for him to come, and I'm just sitting there, like trying to get to know you guys because it's the first time I've ever met you. any of you guys. And holy crap, that scene was so outside of my character in real life. But it just came together. You're a great director, and you told me kind of ahead of time, this is kind of what I'm looking for. This is what I'm hoping you'll do, but I want to make sure you feel extremely comfortable with these scenes, or I'm going to cut it. We're not going to do it if you don't feel okay doing it. And which I appreciated that it was less pressure for me. And it ended up just being much easier than I anticipated.
That's good, and that makes me happy because that's, when I'm doing a movie, I care about people so much in everyday life, but when I'm doing a movie, I realize if somebody isn't comfortable, it's gonna show, and it's not gonna look right. And I was prepared mentally if I had to do some last minute rewrites. I didn't want to. I prayed to God that we didn't have to, and thank God we didn't. But I was mentally prepared. I feel like you got to be in certain situations, especially with like a role like what you had. So if anybody, I don't want to give too much away about the movie, but there was a sex scene. There was more than that though. There was some great acting. There was some great dialogue, and for anybody that would watch your part, family, friends, like how you mentioned earlier, I would want them to know one thing. Like if they heard anything from this interview, I would want them to think about what I'm about to say. It just so happened to be that the acting part you got in this movie landed on your lap. It could have very easily been another role. I got you playing a homicide detective in my next movie. It just so happened to be the role that fell in your lap was of a prostitute named Trailer Park Tina, and you nailed that shit. That's a hard thing. That's hard for a seasoned actor to do, because of, for one, of a sex scene, but two, you had a lot of dialogue.
I practiced the hell out of that dialogue too. I made my mom get into character with me, and she was Trailer Park Tina, and I was John's character, and my brother practiced with me, and my mom nailed that shit too. She did a great job.
Dude,
But
I kind of want to meet your mom. I'm like, man, maybe we should freaking put her in something in the future too, because you obviously had a good study partner.
yeah, my family's amazing. I love them, and they all support me. And my mom's like, I'm watching it. I ain't closing my eyes, Krista. And I'm like, you'll just see something, but it's fine.
I am proud of you as a friend, but I definitely I had that in mind too when I was filming that, and I think people, I think they may hear my comedy in videos. I think they may hear my jokingly joking self in some kind of content, and they may have one idea, but everybody that works with me is always blown away. They're like, dude, you're the same guy in the videos, but you're so different. I don't try to be that way. I just do me, but I am so caring about people. When it comes to a film process, I've seen a lot of directors it's just about getting their picture, just getting their shot. And I get it when money's on the line, you got to get what you came there to get. But there's a way to do it and make people happy and feel good. And bro, you talk to people like crap, or you mess up their energy, um, it's not going to be what you want.
That's a good point. And you checked on us constantly. Like we could have been in a position for a scene we were doing, and we had to stay there until you were ready to put us back in the shot. And while you were working and filming something else, you'd be like, are you comfortable? Are you cold? Do you need anything? Like, and I was like, wow, like you are incredibly caring about people. And you were the same with the women, your kids, the guys, everybody on set. There was no like in between with you. That's just who you are. You're just a very generous, kind person. And Alicia's right there by your side too, helping how she can. And it's like you guys worked really well together. Like seeing behind the scenes how you guys are. It was incredible. You are genuinely a good person.
I really do. I appreciate that, and I love this stuff, dude. And I'm glad that um, you noticed me and I noticed you, and there's other actors I have worked with that have acknowledged this. But I think you and I, First off, on that trip, on that shoot, you became friends with Alicia. You guys talked, you mingled, you did a walk and a hike together in between filming time. You helped me behind the scenes. If it was I needed a glove or something, you were like, "Hey, I'll get this for you. If you need this or that, I'll hand it to you." Like you were right there in case I needed your help. You were willing to help, and we all just really clicked. My kids loved you. We all got along really good, and after the shoot, a lot of times it's like everybody comes, they work together, and then it's like, hey, we'll tell you when the DVD's done or the job's done. But we stayed connected, and I quickly learned. I was like, I knew I was going to be doing the podcast, and I told Alicia, I was like, dude, did you notice like how this girl is like the girl version of me? I basically said, like, in the sense of like, she really loves horror. She loves movies. We have a lot in common. Like we appreciate, like at one point there, I was like, holy shit, like we have so much in common, but we could carry a good conversation and it was real. Like, in other words, like if we weren't recording right now, our conversation would be pretty much like this,
Oh yeah,
you know?
definitely.
So, I mean, maybe with these, we stick to a subject more, but like, this is just, it's how we talk. So,
Sprinkle
um,
some do or die in the background.
yeah. Oh, that was another thing. I'm talking to Christa on a live chat one, not a live chat, a one-on-one video chat, not recorded. And I hear her listening to one of my favorite rap groups in the background, and one of my favorite songs at that, Fantasy by Do or Die. And I was like, yo, what? And then you started breaking out their CDs, and I'm like, okay, we're homies now.
I grew up with Do or Die. I absolutely love them. I still bump them in my car, and I still have the CDs in my car. I listen to the CDs. Everybody's got their little iHeart Radio, or what do you use? SoundCloud, or I don't have
Yeah.
that crap. I'm old school, but
Yeah, when I seen those CDs, I was blown away. I was like, no freaking way. Because first off, a lot of people don't know about Do or Die.
right.
And second off, a lot of people don't have CDs no more. I have their CDs too. So yeah, it was a little shocking. But there's one thing that I learned after working with you, and now getting to know you, is I was like, I want to involve her in more projects. And I'm like that with people I have a great experience with. Like one thing I tell people about this sometimes, and they're like, Adam Sandler, like Adam Sandler. I'll say, I want to have a relationship. I want to find the best people out of each project and bring them into the next, to where I get to a point where I have a certain cast of people, almost like Rob Zombie. Like, you're going to see those people in the next film. You're going to see them in the next film. And as we grow, maybe there might be more added to that family. But when I tell people that, they're like, "Oh, Adam Sandler does that." I'm like, he does, but I want to do it in with my horror genre, because you guys know I'm not stepping out of the horror genre for nothing. Like, I don't care if somebody said, "I'll give you $4 million right now to make a romantic." I'm like, no. If I don't love what I'm doing, I'm just not doing it.
Maybe a
Um,
horror romance.
Even that would be tough for me. But
Like
yes, it
Warm
has to be
Bodies.
horror.
I would say Warm Bodies is the only horror romance like I've ever really seen, a zombie romance. It was cute.
And you
You
want to know some shit? Out of all the fucking movies in the world, that's probably Alicia's favorite horror film. Like,
Is it really?
Warm Bodies. If I had to pick one, yeah, she's like, let's watch that one where the cute song. I'm like, oh my god. If it doesn't have Titanic vibe, she's not into it.
Oh, it's a cute movie. It's good.
It is. It is. It's a good movie. That guy's a great actor. I always forget his name, but he was in Renfield. Good, solid actor. He also played in like some X-Men movies. But yeah, a lot came from that trip. And there was a few other people involved in the film that I can say I look forward to working with again, but you were one of the ones where I'm like, dude, she can act, she takes it serious, and she wants to do it. And that's really hard to find. There were people I was casting around the time that we locked you in for the role in Mallet, um, that I was talking to, that didn't seem like they had like love and passion for the process. Like, I was talking to actresses that like do this for a living, and they were like such divas about the process, and so much so that just talking to them, I felt like they'd be hard to work with. and people that weren't doing this for a living were the people I ended up choosing. I did end up choosing some people that did have some experience, but I chose a lot of people that are not doing this for a living. They're not, of course I don't work with union actors, but um I was just shocked that some of the best experiences I had working on both films, the first one and the second one, were people that aren't even trying to be actors. They just naturals.
That whole experience honestly was so much easier than I anticipated. I was building it up in my head how intimidating this is going to be, or how difficult, or how I might fail, and cuz I'm very hard on myself. But being there, getting to know you guys, it actually brought this weird joy to my life. I'm kind of, I have depression. I don't think that's a secret. I do have depression, and I put this little bit of joy into my life that I felt like I've been missing. It was just so exciting and so outside of my comfort zone. And, I don't wake up every morning and like, hey, off to go film it, a scene for Mallet too. I'm like, let's wake up and write this, press release for my client. But it just added so much excitement, and it gave me something to look forward to that I really enjoyed doing.
Man, that makes me super super happy, and I knew that without you saying it. Like I could tell that it was meaningful. It wasn't a gig, like, it wasn't like just some resume material and shit. Like, it actually was it was cared about. And you know what? Like, I'm not trying to big up the film and big up the film, but like, I think you seeing some of it put together at that time. Actually, you seen a lot of it put together. It was amazing. I couldn't believe how much I had put together at that time. But I think you seeing
45
some.
minutes, 45 to 50 minutes
It
total.
was about that much was edited.
Yeah, because you had already had some scenes done before I got there as well. So I got to see some of those two put together. And then you would be like, yeah, we're going to add this scene here and cut this scene and put this here. It's not exactly in order, but it was like 45 to 50 minutes of footage you had.
So with you seeing, I think that helped a lot too. Um, being my second movie, I would think that probably, I do. I talk to people sometimes and I can see their look. Like, I've already started talking to a few people about, Cop Killer. We start filming that in October. I've started talking to like a few actors, a few people that are not actors. And like, I can tell when somebody realizes it's only my second movie, or maybe they see how I'm dressed. Maybe I look like a hip hop rapper, or like I'm stuck in the 90s, but like I'm a horror filmmaker. I see people making all these judgments in their mind, and they're trying to figure out, like, is this big? Is this little? What is this? I think with you seeing, like, meeting my family, actually, like, not like coming to work on set and then going home that day. We all stayed in the same cabin for a fucking week, just about.
And the
Um,
bathroom was in your guys' bedroom, by the way, which was very awkward. It's like, hey guys, I have to pee at 3 a.m. Can you let me in?
Yeah, that was a little awkward, man, but we made it work so beautifully, and I think that's, like, everything was just like, man, dude, we got such a great team here. But I think you seeing some of that movie put together helped a little bit, like, to know what you're jumping in. Like, somebody can tell you, like, hey, you should jump in this pool. The water is magical, but you just see the pool and you're like, it looks like every other pool. And seeing it put together, like, even I would watch it and I was like, dude, this is the best thing I've put together yet. Like, this looks fucking good.
It was very good. And I think everybody that was there on set seemed really passionate about their roles and what they were doing. And the more blood, the better it got.
Yeah. No, I agree. And let's talk about that real quick. Before we do our next pod. I know we got another one we're gonna do. When you were seeing all the special effects with, like, all the blood and all the gore, seeing it in movies is one thing, but seeing how it's actually done and how it will come together, what was that like for you?
To see the entire process in person, the way that you filmed the scenes, it was hard to imagine how it was going to look edited. And then I actually got to see that happening. And Oh my gosh, it was like you would say, okay, this is what's going to happen in this scene, but I have to shoot it this way, and then you would make some. I don't want to give anything away, so it's kind of hard to put the words together. But you would
Right.
see one part of it done shot here, and then another angle of it shot over here, and then when you're editing it, it gets put together perfectly. So it's like you're not missing a beat with those special effects, and they're timed. Like you have to time these special effects, so the actors have to be able to do the moves that you're asking them to do at the time when the effects are happening, so
Right.
it coincides with each other. That seemed more of like one of the more difficult things to do, was to get two, things to happening at one time. But some of them took a few takes for the actors and everything to come together, but when it did, wow.
Yeah.
Favorite scenes is in the trailer, actually, where Elon is, you have the barbed wire wrapped around him, and the way that that effect was filmed. I don't know if you want to tell people how you did that or not, but it was incredible because I was right there watching it happen, and to see it in the trailer the way that it was with the sounds, and it was just like perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that scene. That's one of my favorites too, Krista. So yeah, I can't wait until the movie is out, and then maybe we can go by and like talk by scene, like about stuff. Like that will be really cool,
Right.
especially for all the people that I'll let a lot of people know like that is to come. That would be a great thing for us to kind of like commentary it, I guess you would say.
Mhm.
Without showing the whole movie online, just maybe taking a screenshot from each scene and be like, hey, this was what was happening. But um yeah, how you were saying everything's time, like there's this, let's take there's a scene in the movie where there's a gunshot. um the way that you do that is you set up your camera angle, and then you tell the actor how you want them to respond when you say action. And so as soon as I say action, Krista, you're going to jolt your body and you're going to make a face like you were just hit. As soon as I say action, at the same time you're acting like that, we have a pump hooked to your back. And this isn't in the movie, but I'm just saying there is a scene like this in the movie. We have a pump hooked to your back to where somebody low pushes that pump in and blood just squirts up in the air. So it looks like a bullet just hit you. And it does. It has to be timed perfect. And people that just understand simple logic, have common sense, can take simple direction. It's very, very simple. There was one scene in the movie. I won't say if it was a girl or a guy, and they hadn't had much acting experience. I'm not saying that they were hard to work with, but I'll just say it was so simple what they needed to do, and they were stressing themselves out. They were their own worst enemy. And when they finally just trusted themselves, it was perfect. So I get it. And that's another reason I try and make people feel comfortable. And even though like they were struggling with it, and I'm like, we're eating time here, we're getting bit by mosquitoes, like, like this is going on, this is going on. Like I didn't show that to them because then I knew there would be no chance of getting it, and most directors would be like, look, are you going to be able to do this, or are we going to have to hire somebody else? And it sucks, but that is reality. There's a lot of people out there that are watching the bag. They are not, you know, that's one thing I love about not having a lot of money to make a film, because when there's a lot of money involved in there, people, they forget at the end of the day that if you don't love the process, it's going to show. I watch films all the time, indie films, where I'm just like, hmm, they could have done that a little bit better. They were rushing. And Alicia will look at me and she'll say, how do you know they were rushing? I'm like, they were rushing, honey. They were rushing. If I could guarantee you, if I interview that person, I'll say, hey, remember that one scene you shot? You were rushing there. Yeah, man. Well, we were fighting. Like, I already know. I see this shit, bro. I see it like clear as day. And I mean, maybe it's one talent that I have, but um, like that shit will show in your work.
One of the things that I think I struggled with the most is in some of the talking scenes where we reshot a few of them, and I was trying in my head, I felt like, okay, I have to say this differently, or put inflection on a different word in this scene, and I felt like I kept saying it the same way over. It was hard for me to see what you're seeing when you're on the other side of the camera. I think that would be one of the things I struggled with the most, more so out of even remembering my lines, which I thought would be an issue. But I practiced those, so I think did okay there. But yeah, I think the delivering some of the ones that we shot a couple of times to get the right message across, I think I struggled, I think, the most with that.
I think I see I know exactly what you're talking about there, because I've seen a lot of people, they're thinking about it, but they're not thinking about it with the director's mind. So I will tell you this: the way when I wrote the scene, did I see you playing it? I didn't even know you at that time. No, I had the girl in my mind, and I do this. Like, I see when I write something, I see it in my head, and then I try and cast it as close to as possible. I try and get it as close to possible, but something always changes. Um, I am more happier with the way that it came out than I seen it in my head. And that was really a cool thing, because at this point we had you flying in. We spent a good amount, a quarter of the budget went just for the place that we rented to be able to shoot it. You know what I'm saying? It ended up being like a couple grand, you know what I'm saying? Easy, just for 5 days. 2,500 bucks for 5 days.
Yeah.
That might not seem like a lot, but when you're talking about you're doing a movie with a $10,000 budget, it's a lot. I mean, um, so and I like that too, by the way. We could have easily made the budget for this movie 20 or $30,000, but I wanted to stress more,
Mhm.
because I know that's where creativity you're unaware of comes from when you don't have a lot to work with.
That place was perfect, by the way. The setting, like you and Anthony were there scouting the locations, and you sent some video of you were even. This is where I envisioned you doing this scene, and it was like even ahead of time you could picture it. That it was just the setting was incredible.
Scouting is very helpful. Yeah, I'm so glad we did that and sent that to you too. And Elin, he ended up doing a great job. It was his first time acting too. Um, there was some other people in the film that ended up doing a good job as their first time acting. There was some people that have been in a couple movies that are in the film. And believe it or not, I think I had to reshoot not reshoot, but had to shoot some of their scenes more than I did the people that hadn't had no experience. And that was really interesting. There was one guy that I worked with in the film. There was this one line I kept telling him. The line goes like this: "This is gonna hurt real good." I said, "Say it just like that," and he would say something completely different, and I'd be like, that's not what I said. What you said sounds good, but I want this is gonna hurt real good, just like that." And he couldn't get it, and I'm like, "It's one line. Please get this. Please get this." I didn't say that. I didn't want him to feel bad, but I kept going, and I'm like, "Please get this line." And finally, he nailed it. And when you see it in the movie, you'll understand, man. It just fits so fucking perfect.
Was it that growling part that he was having, like the?
Well, it's funny because he has the perfect voice for it, not me. Like me, I'm making myself sound like that. He just has that voice, and like that's why it was an easy cast. When I seen his look, I was like, he looks like the guy I visioned, and he sounds like the guy I visioned. And I said, all you got to do is look down and say, "This is gonna hurt real good." He fucking sounds like that when he's doing nothing. He'll be like, "Hey Jody, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Okay, you got this. This is easy." And he would say something like, "I'm going to hurt you good." And I'm like, "No, this is going to hurt real good." Finally, we fucking nailed it. And everybody agreed, like, "Oh man, that's perfect." And when you see it in the movie, you're like, "Okay, it was worth, sticking out." But and then look, you'd never been on a set before. And most of your scenes with dialogue, we shot one shot.
Most of them. There's just that one we had to do 2 or 3 times. It just we weren't getting the atmosphere, like not the atmosphere even, just the feeling I think that you wanted it. So we did it a few times and we got there. Definitely seen too, Elon and Katie acting on set. It kind of was helpful to be able to see what they were doing too, like how their process was to go into a scene as well with you,
Mhm.
and your kids. It was seeing other people too helped me. You know, it's motivated me a little bit more. Oh, I see how they're doing this, or it was kind of interesting. So
Was it shocking to you to see a 16-year-old, my oldest son Anthony, playing Mallet, a menacing, massacring serial killer, and doing it so well?
shocking. You mean because of his age and his talent? Like, was I impressed? Hell yeah, I was impressed.
Yeah, I think because of his age. I mean, when I was 16, could I have pulled it off? Yeah, absolutely. But
No, I
it
mean,
sounds a little challenging when you think about it.
he nailed every freaking scene perfectly and no words. No words. It was just movement, and the grunting and oh my gosh. I honestly I was surprised as hell to see how natural both of your kids were. It's like they are your children. They have the talent of their dad. It
Oh
was
man.
amazing, and I don't know. I was more impressed. I wouldn't say shocked because to me, it's like I would have been doubting their ability, and I was not at all. But just to see them crush every single scene,
Yeah.
I could totally see them in like blockbuster hits, like easy.
Damn. No, and we appreciate that. And you've always, you've been so kind, and we're so happy and blessed that we like locked in with like just the perfect people. Um, but I think what was even for me, knowing what he can do, I've seen it now over and over and over. I don't know if shocking is the right word, but I will say there's been a few times where I'm just like, damn, kid, damn, you are good at this. This is your thing. I don't know how we landed here, but I'm so glad that we did. um i- for anybody that doesn't know or doesn't think about it, they just watch Mallet and like, oh, he's just a killer. The kid underneath that mask is tall as shit. um he's a big boy. He has fought with major disabilities his entire life. He can barely see without his glasses. Somehow he puts on that freaking mask and that costume and grabs that mallet, and I can tell him what to do. And 95% of the time, first take, nails it. And when you see the movie, and you've just heard me say this, I want you to keep that in mind and think about it like that's a 16-year-old playing a role that maybe only a certain amount of grown men in that field could execute. Because again, you said the powerful part of it there. There's no dialogue. He doesn't speak. He's a silent killer. When you're a silent killer, you're almost like Bane, or somebody that you can't see their mouth move. You have to do things with your eyes. You have to do things with your movement. How do you be scary when you can't talk? And fuck, he,
And
he does it.
you see, I've seen him when he has that costume on versus when he didn't, when we were just hanging around playing Uno. Two completely different people, too, like completely different. And he improvised in some of the scenes, too. And they came out so good the way that he did something a little more dark and twisty, than you were anticipating. And I'm not, you know what scene I'm talking
I
about. I'm not
do.
gonna even say it. Like,
I do.
but it was like in his head too. He's like, oh, he knows what he needs to do to step it up even 10 times. God, yes,
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. There was a scene that I told him what to do. I directed him what to do. I yelled action. He did what I asked him to do, but then he added a little something to it. And it was just such a sadistic gesture added
yeah.
that I still like when I watch that part, I'm just like, you have something that I don't know that you have. And I tell him that a lot. I'm like, dude, listen, um, he's scared of talking roles, because I've approached him about some talking roles in some future films, and there was this one role that came about in a movie I start shooting next year called The Devilry, and which you're in, I'm in. People definitely, man, there's so much to keep your eyes open. I want you want to be in The Devilry, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I am
okay.
so excited about
I'm
that.
just like throwing you into roles, and and like I'm like, okay, you're a part of this, you're part of this, and you're probably we have talked about it, but yeah, I'm like, Krista's got to be in this.
I'm so excited about that one and the Cop Killer. Yeah.
But yeah, there's this role in The Devilry of a mute priest, and I didn't write it for him, but I wrote the part, and he was like, "Can I do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, you don't want to do this part?" He's like, "No, I'll do that part too." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Well, this part, this person has a mask on." And he said, "This part, nobody, I don't have to say anything." And I said, "Well, in neither role do you have to say anything." He's like, "That's why I want to do him." He's like, he's like, he's had a very bad speech impediment since he was a kid. It's a disability that he's fought with. He's worked really hard to try and overcome, going to therapy. Um, but he's super freaking brilliant, super talented, and it's crazy to watch this movie all put together and just know that the person playing Mallet is actually struggling with things themselves, as the character in the movie is struggling with things, but you would just never know. It's a top-notch performance. And I seen somebody say like they would love to see Mallet and Jason Voorhees go head to head, that they think that Mallet would give Jason a run for his money. And I'm like, that's crazy. That's huge. And I know that's one person, but when I watch it, I'm like, I don't know that Jason can fuck with Mallet.
Mm-mm. No, I mean, Mallet's character, and the mask you guys created, and the way that he knows how to use it, like the scenes when he gets up in your face and he's twitching his head, and it's like so freaking creepy to imagine having that. Oh, no, with as big as he is,
Yeah.
holy crap! I'm not afraid of Jason. Like, no, I'm afraid of Mallet though. Like, he's intimidating, very intimidating. Ah,
Yeah, I agree. I'm so happy that you were a part of it. I'm so happy that the film got made. And you always worry during the first movie. We had so many obstacles. At one point there, we were halfway into filming and we all got COVID. It lasted for about a month. So over that month, like there was days like nobody felt like doing anything. But then as we got closer into that month, I was like, guys, Jace, you've grown a half inch since we last filmed. Like, oh my God, your hair's growing back. Like, we have to shoot. And he's like, I feel like shooting. And I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, we'll try it, buddy. If you don't feel like it, then we don't have to. And we would do a scene, and I could hear it in his voice, and you can hear it in the movie, but nobody pays attention to it. You would only hear it if you knew it happened. Because I mentioned it to some people, and like, oh yeah, he does sound like he might have a little bit of a cold there. Like, there's a lot people don't catch, but in part two, there was literally no hiccups. Literally, we just did exactly what we wanted to do, and it got done. And now people are excited, and they're reserving their signed copies, which you guys should definitely do. Go to malletmovie.com. See Krista, see Anthony, Jace, and dude, don't just order one movie, order one for a friend. And a lot of people don't know this. If you want to order more than one in the United States, it's $20, and that's for a signed copy. I'm signing it, Mallet signing it, Jace is signing it. But if you add an extra $10, and you can change the amount there, if you add an extra $10, you can get an extra copy. You don't have to pay another 20. So a lot of people don't know that. So if you're watching this right now, and I'll make more announcements about this. Not a lot of people have acquired about a second copy, but if you want to get one, man, there's somebody out there that loves horror, and you want to give them a signed copy, a signed copy. I guess I want some more coffee. I'm out right now.
So my
You want to hook somebody up with a signed coffee, you can definitely do that. Go to malletmovie.com. But Krista, thank you so much for being a part of the movie. Really means a lot and coming into our lives. It's been a damn blessing, girl.
You're welcome. It's been the pleasure's all mine. It's
We
been
appreciate it. Well, guys, definitely look forward to more pods here. I think we might be about to do another one. We got to look at the clock, but make sure you smash that thumbs up, comment below, share this on social media. Post every week here. There's interviews, there's pods, there's one-on-ones, there could be reviews, there could be reactions. If it has to do with horror, you're in the right place. This is the Scream Scene. I'm Jody Dean. This is my homegirl, Krista, right here. Go follow her on Facebook. We love you guys so much. We'll be back soon. But until then, sweet nightmares.